Alright, welcome back. With pretty much all the cleanup is done now, and that's it. That project is done. Very happy about that. Not everything was perfect, but overall I think that's a definite improvement. I'll try to paste here our initial state of affairs here. And here's how it looks now. So the sealant has cured, at least mostly, and the sand on top worked really well, as you can see. This is how it works now. And that part is not just on top, that's actually the sand embedded right into the sealant, so that looks actually like a very coarse sandpaper. It's not going anywhere. That's not just on top, and that's perfect. It looks quite natural here from that perspective, as if you would just fill it with sand, except that sand will just wash out. So yeah, there's no hole in there, there's no dent, that looks mostly flat, and as I said, overall I'm pretty happy about how it went. So a few things that could have been better. I mean, if the weather would be not so hot and humid, I'd have more time to work the concrete to make it flatter. If that was the goal, as I said, I kind of like this wavy pattern here because I don't want it to be too smooth, and that kind of works out. Wasn't intentional. For the sealant, yeah, that is very low viscosity self-leveling. Self-leveling works really well, but just make sure you don't have any gaps or holes, even small ones, in your backing, like a backing rod. So ideally you just use a single one, not two strands as I did, because that makes for more gaps, because it will leak out and you will use a lot of that. Apart from that, again, wait until it levels before you add sand on top, because if you have to re-add some parts that are still leveling, then that's not going to be good. You will have kind of like sand in between the layers. And when you decide to add sand on top, then you can add as much as you need to, because some of them is going to sink into the sealant. And sometimes, I mean, you can't really see it right now, but there are some areas then a little bit of gray sealant is actually sort of popping out. So you could, I could have added more sand in there, because it seems like some of that just sunk. And that's that. So for this small joint here, it's not a joint really, I just filled it with sand, and given it's a small gap here, it's just sticks there really well. It's just a regular jointing sand, so nothing fancy there. And that's that. That is that. So that project is completed. Another thing is, in terms of the bubbling, actually both resurfacing, like concrete resurfacing, bubbled a little bit, and the sealant bubbled a little bit. So for sealant that wasn't really a big deal, because it's so fluid that pretty much all bubbles were gone by the time you actually wanted to do anything about that. But for the concrete, there were some bubbles that kind of stayed there, they set. And if you actually try to shape them with the grinder or something like that, then there would be pinholes underneath, which is probably not great. but realistically there were just a few. So yeah, if you have time, pay a bit more attention to that. But if not, then that's probably fine. But again, the proof is in the pudding. We'll see how it's gonna hold out over the next, well, hopefully years. And that's that. So if you like this content, please like it. Subscribe to the channel for more projects and content like that. And let me know in the comment, what did you think about that? What did I do well? What I certainly didn't do well or shouldn't have done? And yeah, let me know what else do you want to see. And I'll see you next time. See ya.